Ladies and gentlemen, are you guys sick of me saying we got another banger episode of From? Because let me tell you, From Season 4, Episode 9 is, to me, it's monumental. It's a great fucking episode. And I have to say this, because I see some online controversy, I gotta bring this up right now. If you don't like this season or you think this season's not giving any answers, I hate to break it to you, bud. This show is not for you. It's just not for you, because there are answers that we've been getting in this episode. We got a big one. We got a big series of events in this episode that went down. I fucking love this episode. This is up there for me. Before we get into the breakdown, this is up there for me with the greats. 7 is a banger. I thought 8 was a banger too. I even thought 6 was a banger. I think they were all bangers in the back half. But 9, man, when I watched this episode for the first time, I've watched this 3 times before I made this video. And the first time I watched it, I went right to my Discord, which you guys should do if you're not a member yet already. But I went right there and said, yep, this solidified. This is my favorite season of the show. I fucking loved this episode. It was so good. But you know the drill. We're going to dive right into the full breakdown, starting with scene 1, which is Tabitha and Boyd, and they're in the sheriff's station right after Tabitha had that experience with the man in yellow, and she's explaining it to the Boyd. She's explaining everything she had just witnessed, and how the man in yellow basically confirmed that they've gotten this far and that that'll bring everyone home, like what she discovered, or it'll unleash a certain kind of suffering that they can't even begin to imagine. And it opens with her explaining to Boyd that the man in yellow came to her house during the middle of the day, and she tells Boyd that the man in yellow killed Jim because he told her, like he explained to her that he was the one who killed her, and I kept his teeth, you know what I mean? He was the one who did all of that. And she tells Boyd that they aren't safe anymore. And as she's explaining this, Jade walks right into the sheriff's station, and he comes in saying that he knows he wants to keep everyone safe. Like, he knows Boyd wants to keep everyone safe, and that's why he's proposing to go down to the tunnels, like, by himself. Jade's claiming that there's no perfect version of this plan, but this is really all they have. And Boyd completely agrees, and Jade's like, huh? Like, which I think is funny. Like, I love moments like that where Jade, like, he's doing something where I think he's expecting this reaction to be like, no, Jade, you don't have to do it. But Boyd's like, yep. And he's like, what? Excuse me? Say that again. I just thought that was really funny. But then Boyd goes on to explain that they need to be ready to put shovels in the ground once the sun comes up tomorrow, since Tabitha just confirmed that it's no longer safe here with the man in yellow lurking around. So that's the whole gist of the scene. And I got to tell you, when it comes to a scene like this, I like that we have our characters in a room together talking, and she immediately goes running to Boyd after the events of episode 8 and what happened, where she had this encounter with the man in yellow. Like, I'm glad we're actually getting her communicating. It's a very good thing, and I'm glad. I think 7 and this episode have actually done a really good job of doing that, where we're actually getting characters in a room talking and all of that sort. I think it's really strong. So yeah, after this, we cut right back to the man in yellow, and he goes back to the backpack where Sophia's clothes were and shapeshifts into her again. And then she walks back into town toward Elgin and Clara and they're lowering the flag. Oh man. Okay. I'm going to break down the scene. We're going to talk about this reveal in a minute. Biggest reveal, in my opinion, one of the biggest reveals of the show. I was screaming. By the way, Dana Marie, this is what I was talking about. And I know I probably ruined it, and I feel so horrible for doing it, but this is what I was talking about. I knew that I was busting at the seams. There was no way I couldn't tell you. Oh my God, I was busting. I didn't tell you, obviously, but like, I was busting. This was so hard to keep in, but now I can tell you, this is the scene. This is the scene. Anyway, Sophia asks what they're all doing. And then Elgin explains that they're pulling down the flag because Boyd's asking them to collect all the rope that they could find. And Sophia asks what it's for, and Elgin explains that it's for the people that are going down into the tunnels tomorrow to dig up those bones. And Elgin explains to Sophia that it's supposed to be Jade, Kenny, and a few other people. And Elgin offers Sophia to come by later tonight when they're all together to make that rope ladder, which we know she does later, and we know what she does with that rope ladder later. Oh, my Lanta. But anyway, Clara asks Elgin to handle the rope and that she's going to go check on the shed. And when she does, Sophia asks Clara if she could help. And as they're walking, Sophia says, "You're Clara, right?" And Clara says, "Yeah, Sophia, right?" And Sophia says, "That's right, but do you really know who I am? And then she takes off her glasses and Clara's looking all confused. And then Sophia, it's like, maybe look a little bit closer. And as she lowers her glasses, once she lowers the glasses, Sophia's eyes start turning black and beady like the man in yellow's. And Sophia asks, does this help? And their eyes, like, they're still pitch black. And Clara goes, oh God. And Sophia says, do you remember the bargain we made? And Clara says, yes. And then Sophia goes on to say, good, because I need you for something. I need you to do something for me. Oh my, okay, guys. This was the hardest thing in the show for me to keep in. This was so fucking difficult for me not to talk about. This is the biggest scene in the entire show. Because now we know, and maybe you might think of being dramatic. You might think of being like a little too glazing of this show. But this is a big fucking reveal because this proves a lot of things for a lot of people. And I'm looking at you, Dana Marie. If you're watching this, I'm looking at you. There were so many theories out there about Clara because she would only be in these really peculiar scenes, or she would pop up at weird points in time. And it's like, why of all people is Clara there? And Clara's been a big time background character to the point where, honestly, sometimes I even forgot who Clara was. Like, I didn't really remember. I mean, she's recognizable with what she wears. She wears the same sort of thing. But like, when people have mentioned Clara in the past, I was like, okay, but she's like, who cares? She's like a background character. Like, it wasn't a big deal. But this solidifies a big fucking thing. So I know, Dana Marie, I know like your theory was a little bit more like Clara was the man in yellow or something like that. And I'm just bringing this because I think a lot of people had this theory too who are watching this. But it's actually more or less that Clara was promised that she would be brought home if eventually they came to a bargain where eventually the man in yellow would need Clara's help. This has me asking more questions. Like, look, this is a big reveal. And this is why I said I think From may not be for certain people, because this is a big reveal, but it makes me ask more questions. How long has Sara been here? When did she have this interaction with the man in yellow? Was the man in yellow in the man in yellow manifestation, or was the man in yellow taking the form of another dead person? Because that's another big reveal at the end of this episode. We will get to that. But anyway, how long has Clara been here? Was she intentionally snooping around more in the event that the man in yellow would need a favor? Or was she just there kind of just by chance? Either way, fans were right to speculate that Clara had some sort of significance there, but it's just crazy because it finally reveals that there was something sus about Clara this whole time. And even though on the surface, Clara seems like a good person at heart, she made a bargain with the man in yellow somewhere in the past, and now she has to do bad deeds under the threat of being killed, or with the lure of her going home. Fucking awesome, fucking crazy reveal. Oh man, I love this reveal. This was hard to keep in. I got episode 9 today. I'm recording in late May, and I got episode 9 a couple weeks back. And oh man, this is so difficult. This is going to be so difficult for me to hold on to. Thank God, by the time this episode airs, I'm going to be in Italy, so I'm not going to be able to be thinking about this stuff much, but oh Lord. Anyway, so after this, we cut the opening credits roll. We're going to come back more to this later. The opening credits roll, and then we cut to the next scene where it's Kristi, and she's in the medical cabinet she's in the clinic looking for something, and Marielle walks in behind her and asks what Kristi's doing. And Kristi's response is, how is Fatima doing? And Marielle explains that she's doing that jigsaw puzzle, and she told her it was like a cognitive test. Marielle asks what Kristi is looking for, and she explains that she's looking for epinephrine shots from the ambulance. And then Marielle finds them like right there, and Kristi's like, oh, okay. But she has to go talk to Boyd, and she asks Marielle to stay behind with Fatima to ensure nothing happens. Something does happen later in the friggin' episode, and we're going to get to it. But she says that if anything does happen, such as her heart stopping or anything, use the epinephrine shot. And Kristi tells Marielle to be careful staying behind with her because they don't know what they're dealing with yet, which leads me down this path of thinking, like, is it possible that their concern because of the heart rate thing is that she's becoming one of them? Is that where this is going? That is what this feels like to me, based off of the veins, based off of all of that stuff. It feels like they're taking this in a direction where she's slowly morphing into one of those. Obviously, we have no way of knowing. I haven't seen the episode 10 screeners at the time of me recording this, so I genuinely have no way of knowing. I'm not sure. But it's interesting the way that these things are worded. This is a very interesting, peculiar thing to me with the veins, with all of this, especially with what we learn later in the episode that she should have been dead. And I think we might have learned this in episode 8, if I'm not mistaken, too, or it was revealed in episode 8, but it's further elaborated here. I feel like that has to be where this is going, because I don't see where else this is going, unless she's slowly dying, but that would defeat the whole purpose of her should have been dead sort of thing. Whatever. Anyway, after this, we cut to Sophia and Clara, and they walk inside Sara's house, and Sophia's asking, hello? Is anyone home? Doing her whole frickin' thing. No one responds, and once Sophia realizes that no one's home, she walks into the living room, and she grabs a knife, which for some weird reason is just sitting on the coffee table, and tries shielding it from Clara seeing. So for some reason, Sara, or maybe Sophia, we don't know, just like leaves very sharp knives just right out in the open. But like, okay, on first hand, you may be thinking like, oh yeah, but it's to protect from the people of outside. But why? They're indestructible from a knife. Whatever. Anyway, we're just going to pretend that didn't happen. Sophia says, come on in. And Clara is terrified, basically frozen in fear. And Sophia says, let's go to my room with the knife in her hand, but she's still like concealing it from Clara's view. And Sophia walks behind Clara upstairs. And the whole time she's walking up the stairs, I'm like, don't stab her. Don't do this. But like, why would you do that early anyway? Like if you need her for anything. So I didn't really think she was going to do it. But anyway, after this, when they walk upstairs, they go into Sophia's room and she tells Clara that Sara painted it for her. And it's painted purple, as you guys know. And she's like, she painted it for me, but it's not my favorite color, which we know is obviously yellow, which is funny. That just feels so campy. Like, it feels like the yellow suit was almost like not like it was like I don't know how to describe what I mean, but it's funny. It's like I just thought it was campy. I enjoyed that. But anyway, Sophia then closes the door, still concealing the knife, and sits on the bed, and she tells Clara to come sit next to her. But Clara refuses, and Sophia explains that you don't have to be scared. So Clara joins her on the bed, and Sophia says that when you first came here, we made a bargain, and I told you at some point I was going to need your help. Which again, I have to bring this up. It's very interesting to me because obviously the man in yellow didn't come as Sophia. So it's very interesting to me to see what that means. Like, was it Doug Hughes? Like, was it that version or was it another? Look, as you guys know, I'm very disappointed that we haven't been getting a lot of Douglas Hughes in the show. Maybe we'll get that in episode 10. I don't know. Like maybe we'll see a little bit more with that, but I think this is ripe. And I'm not one of those people who likes my stories spoon-fed to me. I think it's great to have things open to interpretation. But to this point, I actually think it would have been really nice to see this interaction with Clara to try to get some sort of context for how long she's been there, when in the cycle this was, how, like where this was, how this was, or anything like this. Because if Sophia came to Clara at some random point in time and was like, we made a bargain, blah, blah, blah. Did the man in yellow, was he always around? Was he always lurking around, or did he only come up at relevant points? Because to me, my interpretation is the man in yellow is only really coming around when it's appropriate for where they are at in the game. So either that means Clara's been here for a long time, or it means that the man in yellow kind of knew where this cycle was eventually going to go with bringing back Jade and Tabitha, and wanted to play this. Like, it makes me think, how premeditated is everything we're seeing? That's why I would have liked to have seen a flashback. I don't know. That's why I would have liked to have seen it, to try to get some sort of understanding. Because I guarantee you the writers have somewhat of an answer to this. Because I think the show is clearly pointing at that the man in yellow, or these spiritual figures out there in general, they know what's happening before it happens. So like, I don't know, whatever. That's just my thought. So anyway, long-winded ramble. Clara responds by saying that the day we met, I started to wonder if you were real, and are you really going to let me go home? And Sophia says, first, you need to help me with something. And then this confirms that the bargain they made was that Sophia would let Clara go home if she helped her eventually. And that time is now. Time's right now. Oh, geez. And Clara's response to this is her insinuating that she's like, oh, you want me to help stop them from digging up the bones, as a confirmation, not as much a question. And then Sophia responds, oh no, you see, when they go into those tunnels tomorrow, that it's not going to work out very well. They have the right idea, of course, but this place, it's built on ritual. And with rituals, how you do something is just as important as what you do. Okay, we got to talk about this because this is another very big reveal. For those of you guys who say this show is not giving reveals, this is a big fucking reveal. That means there is like some sort of spiritual or demonic sort of thing going on where there is this ancient ritual-based thing. So for her to say this proves that it has to be Jade and Tabitha doing this. There is ritual to that because Sophia here is going off of the insinuation that it's going to be Jade, Kenny, and a few others going down there to dig up the bones, not the insinuation that it's Jade and Tabitha. And we realize that later in this episode when they lock themselves in the diner, when Elgin discovers what he discovers, we discover that it pisses her off that she's like, why didn't you tell me sooner? We're going to come to this. But this is such a big reveal here because it does prove that there is something we've always kind of known, but it does really prove that this place is built on ritual, that Jade and Tabitha have the right idea with digging up those bones. For her to clarify that, clarify that in this scene is fucking huge. It means that we have the solution here. The solution is clearly we need to get those bones. What we do with those bones, I still don't think our characters know, but this is huge. This is gigantic. This is such a big fucking moment. And again, I'll say it a third time. If you don't think this show's doing reveals, you're not watching for the reason that I think this show was created. Not to shit on you or anything like that, but this is a big thing. This is a very big thing. So anyway, Clara, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm like coughing so much. Clara then says, what do you need from me? And when Sophia responds, she's like, do you like games, Clara? And then Clara's like a little hesitant. She's like, answer me when I ask you a question. And Clara forcibly says, yes, yeah, I like games. And then Sophia replies instantaneously like, I love them. I just thought it was really funny. And then she chuckles and she's explaining that she's playing so many of them right now. But there's one or two that need a little push to speed things up a little bit. And then Sophia then reveals the knife that she's been concealing, and she starts cutting her own hand open with the with the knife, drawing blood. And this reminds me of the scene of Hangover where Alan's like, blood brothers, or is that Alan? I don't know, whatever. Anyway, after this, Sophia says, give me your hand, and Clara shakes her head no, because she's obviously terrified, to which Sophia says, Clara, give me your hand, or I'm going to do horrible things to you. And then Clara gives her her hand, and when she does, Sophia starts cutting her hand open, drawing blood, and Sophia tells Clara that this next part's going to feel strange, so then they lock hands, and they start essentially transfusing blood. Clara's all terrified as they're doing this, and Sophia's like, just relax and let me in. And then you can clearly see Clara start acting a little differently and close her eyes. And that was just an interesting sort of thing. And you see how Sophia is like finishing in the fucking process of doing this. She was like all satisfied by this thing. I was like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, so there's that happens. And then afterwards we cut to Boyd, Jade, Kenny, and Donna, and they're all talking by the greenhouse outside of Colony House, which reminds me, where the fuck is Tilly? Why have they never mentioned that Tilly died? What did they do with her body? Anyway, they're outside of the greenhouse, whatever. Boyd's explaining to Donna that once the group goes into the tunnels and have the bones, then we pull up the tree and we get them out of there with the ladder that they're putting together down in the diner. And Donna asks, and how are the people in the tunnels going to protect themselves while they're digging? Those things down there wake up and they're fucked. And Kenny explains to Donna that they're going to cover up the entrance to the tunnels with a tarp, and they're going to hang a talisman on it, and it should be as good as a wall in theory. And Donna righteously says, if the talismans even work down there, we've never field tested them. And Boyd then interjects to Donna's concerns and says that it'll work. And Donna says, listen, I don't want to be the asshole, but once you pull out that tree, it's like opening a window. Talismans or not, those things are coming inside. Whoever is in the tunnels is going to get slaughtered long before they climb that ladder. And this is the one thing, and please explain to me if I missed this. How does Donna know that? How do any of these characters know that? What's the proof there? That doesn't make sense to me. It feels like they just pulled that out for the sake of the plot, which I'm not a fan of. I'm going to be completely honest. Unless there's something I missed. Did Jade ever mention this? How would they know that when you pull up the bottle tree, that allows everyone to come inside? To me, that makes no sense. I don't understand how they just came to that conclusion. But Jade to that says, once the bones are out of the ground, they'll keep the chamber safe. Which, okay, how does he know that too? Like, that doesn't make sense. How do either one of them know these things? I don't really understand that. If anyone wants to dumb that down a shade for me in the comments, let me know. But anyway, and look, I've seen these episodes going into what, before I do these breakdowns, I watch each episode like 3 times before I then prepare my notes like I do before I make my breakdowns and things like that. I don't get that. But anyway, Boyd doesn't understand this, obviously, because I don't understand this either. And Jade says it's why they're buried. Those things down there are afraid of them. I could feel it on my trip. And once we have the bones out of the ground, they will keep those things from coming into the chamber at least long enough for everyone to get out. I know I just said how I don't understand it, but I still don't understand it to that analogy. You don't really know that. You don't know that. You didn't see it in your trip. At least to my knowledge, you didn't see it in your trip. If anything, the monsters pushed Jade into the bones in the trip. So how would you know that? That doesn't make any sense. Whatever. Anyway, Donna says that you're putting a whole lot of faith into a handful of mushrooms. And okay, let's say this whole thing works. Let's say you actually dig up the magical bones and they get out of the chamber alive. Like, what happens next? Are we all just gonna hop in our cars and go home? And Jade says, back to this, that we don't know. Donna says, of course not. You figured out just enough to get yourself killed, but not what to do. Like, if you actually, and Boyd, as she's saying this, I'm reading it, by the way, sorry. And Boyd then interjects saying, we can't wait around for this thing this pricking yellow suit to keep picking us off one by one. And Donna says, I know, I just hope you're right. And then Kristi comes over, and we're going to get to that in a minute, but Donna's 100% right. This is a flaw of this plan. And I'm talking not as much about from Jade's perspective. I'm talking about from a writing perspective. Again, I don't know how this turns out in episode 10. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know how this turns out in season 5. None of us know how it turns out in season 5. But this is a really goofy plan. You're just going to pull up those bones and then what? You know when you do that, all hell is going to break loose, right? Like, you know that. So you know you're going to grab these bones, pull them out, and have no idea what comes next? That is a death trap. Donna's right, but they don't want to accept that. And look, I get it. I completely understand from Jade and Kenny's perspective as well as Boyd's that this is their solution. This is all they have to potentially get home or everyone dies. This is what it is. But like, why would you do this when you know it's more than likely a suicide mission? Like, I just don't understand that. It's like you're intentionally pulling the trigger or something like that. That's what I don't understand. Donna is very right to question it because it doesn't make any sense. But look, I get it. When you're in a dire scenario like this and this is how it goes, you don't have a lot of options, so fuck it, let's try it. Everyone was on board, so whatever. Anyway, after this, like I mentioned, Kristi comes in. And then she goes and talks to Boyd privately, and they start to walk off, and we can't hear their conversation or anything like that at all. But it's very clear that that they're talking about Fatima's vital signs because you hear them like fade off, which is pretty interesting of a choice to make from a directing perspective. I thought that was just an interesting way to do it. I've never really seen that where like you could hear them and then you hear their audio fade. That was really interesting. Anyway, after this, we see Henry. He's in the hallway of Colony House looking at the merry-go-round horse statue. He's touching it, and then Patty walks by asking if Henry's okay, to which he asks why there's a horse statue in the hallway, and he's asking if someone brought it there in their car, laughing, saying who travels with a carousel horse, and Patty says that she doesn't know how, like how it got there, and she's always just assumed that it was part of this house. And then Henry sits down on the couch right across from that horse, and when he does, Patty offers him some cookies. He says no. So Patty leaves the cookies next to Henry on the couch, which is such a weird placement for cookies, by the way. And I get it's for the plot because he knocks down the cookies later in this, but it's like, why are you putting them on a soft couch? Anyway, he's still fixated on the horse, so he mindlessly grabs a cookie. And when he does, he instantly has another one of those visions. This is another big reveal. This is a huge fucking reveal. Not in terms of like big reveal of new answers to things we've gone before, but just a big reveal of this is huge, guys. So the vision instantly picks up with him eating a French fry in what seems to be the cafeteria of the hospital or care facility that he's in, and the camera pulls back, revealing that normal Victor is with him. Normal Victor is trying to get Henry's attention. Normal Victor says to Henry that he got him his favorite meal, which is a burger and French fries, and that he brought some provolone cheese from home, just the way he likes it. But I thought he was a vegetable for years. Like, how does he, like, what do you mean? I shouldn't have said that. I don't mean vegetable in that bad of a way, but like he was in the hospital in like a trance-like state for so long. How does he know he likes provolone cheese? It's been years. How hasn't he been there for whatever? Anyway, I guess it doesn't matter that much. Normal Victor asks if he thought about what Dr. Boyd said, and Henry's flabbergasted, righteously so, saying, Dr. Boyd? Like, as if to insinuate, like, did I just hear that correctly? And Normal Victor assures that that's the doctor's name, remembering that in his vivid dreams, Henry believes that the sheriff's name is Boyd. So he then continues to say that because Henry's like, how did you know that? And he's like, Henry, you mumble sometimes. They've heard all the names like Boyd, Donna, Ethan. Oh, shit. So Normal Victor then asks Henry if he's thought about the anchor that's keeping him there, alluding to what Dr. Boyd said about eliminating the anchor. And Henry says that he can't and refuses because Victor is the anchor, which means eliminating the anchor would be to kill Victor in Fromville, like kill the Victor. Oh, okay. Oh my God. Now I'm like, when I watched this, I was like, oh, this is not good. Please do not kill Victor. Scott McCord is too good. It's more or less because I don't want to lose Scott McCord. Please don't kill Victor. Please. Like, oh my God. I got to tell you, this is huge. And if Victor dies, I just don't understand that. Why would you kill Victor? Victor, they've kept him alive for 40 years or however long, since the 70s. They've kept him alive. All this to kill him? And I get it, this is Sophia's doing. Sophia's clearly doing this by poisoning Henry and making him drink the blood and all of that stuff. And if you guys want to watch my video where I talk about that, I'm going to link it somewhere up here, or it'll just be in the description because I go all deep into it. But I know this is Sophia's thing, and that's what she's trying to do. She's trying to get Henry to turn on Victor to dissuade everyone. I get it. But then why was he alive this whole time? Please. Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be optimistic here. I can't imagine this is going to go well for Henry, which is even more tragic. But just the notion of Victor dying at the hands of his father for the manipulation that Sara caused, please no. Please don't do that. Oh my God. And anyway, after this, Normal Victor assures that he is the real Victor. Like, Normal Victor is saying he's the real Victor, and the Victor that is in Fromville is not real and not him. And Normal Victor assures Henry that he's not alone like the Victor in Fromville was, and that everyone misses him so much. And if what the doctor is saying is true, and you just let go of that version of me, then you get to come back home to us. Isn't that what you want? And of course, that's what Henry wants, of course, because Sophia, that sussy fuck, is doing this whole game on him. Of course, that's what he wants. Henry says, but how could I do that? Even if I wanted to, how could I, like with my bare hands? And Normal Victor says, Dad, the doctor said that once you accept that it's a dream, the dream is going to provide you with everything you need. You just have to accept that it isn't real. And then Henry screams saying, but how can I do that? And as he does it, he screams and the cookies go flying and he's back in Fromville. Okay, I gotta say, we're talking about this here. And at the time of me recording this, I just got notified that I am going to be interviewing Scott McCord. And as well as Robert Joy. So for me, I'm like prepping my questions right now, and I am pretty sure at the time of writing this that I have to keep it to episode 7. So to me, it's like very difficult because I really want to talk about this because this is by far my favorite moment. By the time I'm saying this, because by the time that this video was out, you would have already seen that. But like to me, I'm like, this is what I want to talk about because this is the biggest thing. This is huge. And also, I gotta say, while we're here at this is my favorite, by far, my favorite thing that From has done. I love this because it's so tragic for Henry. It's intriguing because we get to see Victor in a normal environment where it almost feels like Lost. Like it's giving vibes of Lost, and it's beautiful. Like I said, it is beautiful to see Henry acting normal for once, and Henry is a kid, and Eloise is coming, and she's a school teacher, and all that stuff. This is fascinating. This is such incredible stuff. I love every bit of this, and it's going to be hard for me when I interview Scott McCord and Robert Joy to not talk about this, because this is such good shit. Like, oh man, this was so good. I loved every bit of this. But anyway, and him snapping back, like I mentioned, the cookies go flying. And as it happens, Fromville Victor comes running in to make sure that he's okay. And Henry feels clearly awkward after this vision, which essentially is telling him to kill Fromville Victor. And Henry tells Fromville Victor, just while we keep saying it, that he's fine. And Victor says, well, you don't look fine. And Henry tells Fromville Victor that he needs to be alone right now. And he walks off the way he's done every episode where he like runs off. I don't know. I found it funny, but man, this is so tragic for Victor. This is absolutely crazy to me. And it's going to be a I'm really worried that it's going to be a tragedy for one of these characters. Like, I hope they do that justice in some way, because either way is tragic. If Henry dies, it's tragic. If Victor dies, that's devastating to the story. I think it would be a big mistake for the story. So yeah. After this, Boyd and Kristi walk into the sheriff's station, and Boyd is asking where Fatima is right now, and Kristi explains that they're going to keep her at the clinic for as long as possible, and that Marielle is up there with her right now. And Kristi asks what the plan is, and Boyd says that he doesn't know, and Kristi tells him that he's going to have to do a bit better than that, and Boyd then freaks out, saying that he can. So Kristi offers to talk to Ellis, but Boyd says no to that, and then tells Kristi to not even talk to Fatima. And Boyd says the best thing that they could do right now is get her the fuck out of here, and that means tomorrow has to work. And Boyd asks for Kristi to come out of there with them to the bottle tree because they have a group of people going down there into those tunnels, and he doesn't know what kind of shape they'll be in when they pull them out. And he's saying that if someone gets hurt, they may not have time to make it to the clinic. So he proposes that Marielle stays with Fatima while Kristi comes with Boyd to the bottle tree, and that she needs to bring as many supplies with her as she can. And he's proposing this. As he's doing it, he starts to have those Parkinson's tremors that he's been having, and Kristi notices it. But then before we get to see what that means, we cut to Tabitha, Ethan, and Julie, and they're sitting at the kitchen table. And Tabitha's explaining to Julie and Ethan that the man in yellow was in the house and took Ethan's pictures. And Ethan asks why the talismans don't work with him, and Tabitha doesn't know. And Julie asks if the man in yellow was the one who killed Jim, and Tabitha nods her head, saying that it was. And Julie asks if it's because of what Tabitha and Jade figured out, and she asks if that's what knowledge coming at a cost means, and Tabitha says that it was. And again, before we go even any further, I love this. We're getting our characters in a room talking. This feels like what the show should have done the whole time. Like, that was a complaint of mine for the whole show. But it feels like this season we're finally getting that. So I'm very happy about this. And afterwards, Julie says, okay, so who's next? Saying that as Tabitha keeps looking for answers, he's going to keep killing people. And who's it going to be? Is it going to be her? Is it going to be Ethan? Tabitha says that she's not going to let that happen. And Julie righteously responds back that how are you going to stop that? The same thing I've been saying this whole time. Like, can't you see this place, what this place is doing to you? Like, it lies. Do you honestly believe that you've been here over and over again, like you're some kind of ancient survivor? And Julie then explains that she saw the man in yellow too at one point, and she was eating people. And Tabitha's like really in shock. I mean, he was eating people. And she explains that she saw him leaning over in the street, like I mentioned, eating a bunch of dead people. And Tabitha is like, wait, what? And Julie explains that she thought that she was traveling through time, that she could change things, and that she could save Jim. And then she says that it was really doing is giving herself seizures. And then she walks away, taking the talisman off the door. And Julie comes back in with the talisman and asks Tabitha how these things work. And she asks who made them and if Tabitha made them in the past versions of herself, but Tabitha doesn't know. And she explains that if you have all of these memories, then you should know this. And Tabitha says that it doesn't work that way. And Julie explains that maybe it's because that it's not real. She says to Tabitha that this place lies to everyone so that we hurt ourselves and we hurt each other. And Julie begs Tabitha to stop giving it what it wants. And this is so true. I wholeheartedly, actually, we got a confirmation that Tabitha's onto something in episode 8 and this episode. But I wholeheartedly agree with Julie. I'm fully on Julie's side, even though Tabitha is technically right. I'm fully on her side because it's 100% true. This is not good. You shouldn't be doing this. Now with all of this and with where it goes, I'm fucking terrified for episode 10. What is this gonna mean? Dear Lord. Anyway, After this, we cut to Clara, and she's walking from some random spawn point in the woods toward the ambulance outside the clinic, and she has what looks like is like a thermos of something, and outside of the ambulance, she like opens her wound and squeezes her blood inside. Oh, I get so queasy at this shit. I don't like needles in TV, and I don't like blood, things like that. Like, oh God, ew. Please, why? I don't want to see that. Like Elgin's eye in the beginning of this season? No, thank you. Anyway, she then closes the lid. She pours her blood in the thermos. She closes the lid, shakes it all up like it's a fucking shake weight, and goes inside the clinic. And Marielle is right inside the clinic in her way, and Clara's like, oh shit. And then Marielle asks if everything's okay, and Clara says that she was coming in to bring something for Fatima, a family remedy. And Marielle lets her inside. And Clara goes right up to Fatima, who's doing a puzzle, and Clara gives her a drink, which she claims is an old family recipe with berries and herbs, but like, a remedy for what? Like, Clara, how do you know the state that Fatima's in? It wasn't, to my opinion, public knowledge. How do you know this? Isn't that, like, concerning? So Clara is making her drink this while it's fresh, like right in front of her. So Fatima's sure, can't hurt, right? But you know this thing's gonna fucking hurt. And then she takes a sip, and it's obviously disgusting. And Clara shrugs it off, acknowledging that it tastes bad. And Clara then tells her to feel better as she walks off in tears, leaving the clinic, clearly feeling awful for what she's just done. And like, hello, wasn't this extremely sus for you? Like, Fatima, how do you not see that this is sus? She's making you drink it right in front of you. She comes in knowing something that I don't think she was supposed to know, and then runs off right after you take a sip. That doesn't take an astrophysicist to figure out that that's sus. That is sus as fuck, you sussy baka. That is sus. Okay, anyway, after this, we cut to Victor, and he walks up to Eloise and Miranda's grave, and he begins monologuing, saying that he's sorry that he doesn't come there much, and that he doesn't know what to think anymore, and he's explaining that the graves that Boyd explained to him, that he's explaining to the graves that Tabitha is Miranda now, and he's upset, saying that if Miranda is now Tabitha, that means that she's not with Eloise, and it means that she's not even there, speaking to Miranda. And I gotta say here, Scott McCord's acting, and this is why it's going to hurt so bad that I can't really talk about this in my interview with him. Scott McCord's acting here is, in this whole episode, is top notch, especially, we're going to come to it, but especially when he gets detained by Boyd. The screaming he does, like, that is fucking incredible work by him. I absolutely loved it. It's like childlike. It's such good acting. But anyway, after this, Victor then says that he thinks there's something wrong with Henry, and he doesn't know what to do or how to help him. And Victor's worried that Henry might not make it long enough for Tabitha to get everyone home. And as he's saying that he doesn't know what he's supposed to do, he's saying like he doesn't know what to do to someone in this because he doesn't know how, like, have the words and all of that stuff. The boy in white appears off in the distance. Victor tells him to go away and that this is private, and then he asks what he wants, and the boy in white responds, "You know what the others are doing." Victor affirms that they're going into the tunnels to get the bones so everyone could go home. And the boy in white responds saying, "So you know they're going to pull down the tree." And Victor didn't know this, and he asks the bottle tree, and the boy in white says, "I've told you before, that tree is important. You can't let that happen." So now here's the thing, and I always have been, but this further solidifies to me, I've always been on the boy in white side because I think the boy in white is like the good. I don't know how else to describe that, but I really do think he means this here. Like, I don't think this is the man in yellow sort of thing where he's like deceiving Victor, I should say. I think he's genuine. Like, I think he really doesn't want this to happen. So obviously, that is going to be what we see coming up soon. We're going to see, obviously, Victor talking to Boyd and them. But before that, Boyd's in the church and he's talking to, I guess, God, saying, "I don't fucking like you. I think I've made that pretty clear." And he then goes on to basically beg God or the people of the town, whoever he's talking to, that there's good people here and that don't do it for me, that he's already made peace with whatever they have planned for him, but do it for everyone else. He's basically just pleading to whatever that that everyone just needs to go home, that they need to get everyone home. And as he's saying this, Sara walks in, and she was sent there by Kristi, who told her that Boyd was looking for her. And he asks Sara not to repeat anything he's about to say, and she says she won't. And then Boyd explains that Fatima's down at the clinic having some tests done, and he explains that based on her heart rate and her blood pressure that she should be dead right now, but instead she's walking around like nothing's wrong. And Boyd asks Sara When Fatima went missing, you came to me and you said the voices were laughing because they knew that we couldn't save her. But we did. We found her and she's okay. And the voices were wrong. We saved her, didn't we? And then Sara disturbingly, and she's like disturbed, she says, I don't know. And then proceeds to say that she's coming with Boyd tomorrow to rip down the bottle tray. So then after this, Tabitha's sitting on the front porch of her house and she's looking at the talismans up close. And she's like getting a good look at what they are because she's clearly observing that there's two people at the ends of them. They're both going like this. They're like, wee. That's what it looks like on the on the talismans. As she's looking at this and observing this, Ethan comes outside. And Ethan's asking if it was really Dad who came to him back in episode 2. He actually references episode 2. No, I'm just sure he doesn't reference episode 2. I'm just getting delirious. Been recording for 42 minutes now. We're pretty full. We got a lot of time. I only stopped for some burps. I had to burp a couple times. Whatever. Anyway, he then explained that when they went to the settlement because Dad, Jim told him to find the Lake of Tears, and then bad things happen. And Tabitha explains that she doesn't know if it was really him. And Ethan says, he goes on to say that he thinks this place tries to make people afraid so that we won't believe the things that can help us, which is I'm pretty sure the same thing that Elgin essentially said. And he tells Tabitha that all those things that she remembered, she should listen to what they're telling her. And he tells her to not be scared, to believe, because I believed. Like I'm talking about The Ones Who Live, if you guys know the reference. But then anyway, after this, they hug each other. And Ethan, as they're hugging, Tabitha looks over and all the Ankui kids appear in the middle of the street. And they appear menacingly, pointing like this. And it's all of them. And I'm not going to lie, I thought they looked kind of funny. They kind of made me laugh. I'm not going to lie. It was like one of those things. Again, the story's so good. I loved every bit of it, but it was a little cheesy. It made me laugh. But anyway, she then looks down at the talismans after they're all pointing, and then she has like a realization. After this, we cut to Jade, Boyd, and Kenny, and they're in the bar, and they're playing with the radios that they built, and Jade's explaining that he boosted the signals of the radio as much as he can, and he explains that they won't be able to talk down there with the radios, but what they will have is poor man's Morse code, where they're just going to like tap wires together and signal, like 2 means yes, or 1 means no, whatever they're going to do, like the ding, 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 they're going to do that, and that's how they're going to like get down there. And Boyd instructs them to pack up all of this stuff and bring it to Colony House. And as they begin to do it, Victor walks into the bar and he's frantic, saying to everyone, is it true that you're going to cut down the bottle tree? And Boyd explains that they need to do that to make sure that they get the people out of the tunnel safely. And Victor freaks out, insisting like, no, you can't do that, which he's right. You can't do that. Do not do that. But Jade's saying it's a good thing, but Victor says that you don't understand. And he explains that the boy in white said that they can because he said that the tree is important. And Boyd says, well, then where is he, Victor? Why doesn't he come in here and tell us that himself? And Victor explains that it doesn't work like this. He's getting more agitated. And Victor explains that he's his friend and he knows things. And Boyd then goes on to say, then why won't he help us? Victor, there are things here that play games with us. And continues saying that he thinks the little boy is one of those things. And Victor starts freaking out, saying that you can't do this and he's going to stop them. And then Victor walks out of the bar and Boyd comes chasing behind. And Victor won't listen to Boyd. And Boyd is warning him in the background like, Victor, buddy, I'm going to need you to relax or I'm going to take you down to the sheriff's station. I don't want to do that. Victor still won't listen. So then Boyd tackles Victor. And it was a tragic scene to see. And again, this is where we're going to talk about it. Scott McCord's acting here is fucking top notch. That scream, that like childlike, I'm not even going to try to make the shriek that he makes, but that like scream with even the facial delivery of it, the way he does it, it's childlike in this really well acted way. I thought it was so great. I loved it. I was so sad for Victor. And I'm even more sad for Victor in general because of what he's going through with his dad, what he's going through with potentially being killed. I really don't wholeheartedly think that's going to happen. But like that's what the story is setting up. Like, I feel horrible for Victor. I really genuinely do, because he's right. You shouldn't be cutting down that tree. And Boyd is even feeling upset about this. He's like, I know. Boyd's doing the thing he always does where he's like, I know. Boyd always says that. But he's saying that to Victor as he's detaining him. And he's basically just explaining that they don't want to take any chances. And as this is going on, Tabitha comes running up and Victor screams to Tabitha saying not to let him do it. And Kenny proceeds to like take Victor and walk him down to the sheriff's station. And then Tabitha asks Boyd why he's in handcuffs, and Boyd explains that it's because they're trying to stop a problem before it happens, and he explains to Tabitha that the boy in white told Victor that we can't take down the tree, so he's going to try and stop them. And he explains to Tabitha that if she wants to scrap the whole thing with taking the bones down, then he'll let Victor go. And Tabitha explains that they don't know who the boy in white is or what he wants, and Boyd is like, yeah, exactly, no shit, that's why we can't do it. Tabitha then stops Boyd, saying that it needs to be her and that she needs to be the one that goes down into the tunnels. And Boyd doesn't understand this. And Tabitha says it needs to be only me and Jade. And Boyd, she then goes on to say, like, Boyd, we're the ones who failed to save those children. We're the one who they've been calling back to over and over again. And then she points to the realization that she had with the talismans and how they depict two people going like, we. And she says, who do you think those two people are? And it has to be us. And Boyd says that he can't, because if something goes wrong, what happens to Julie and Ethan? And Tabitha says, who do you think I'm doing this for? And Boyd, she says, I'm sorry, excuse me, Boyd, we only get to do this once. And I think here in this place, the way we do this matters. You have to trust me. And this is really interesting. And I want to bring this up here. And I meant to bring this up with Sophia, but this is very interesting. I've been playing drums for like 20 years now. Maybe I'm 29. I've been playing drums for like 18 years of my life. And there was a saying from a drum instructor once, Freddie Gruber, he, I think, said this to Neil Peart, saying how you do what you do is almost as important as what you do, because without the how, you diminish the what. And this whole thing makes me think about that. And that may be a crazy line of wording that I just said, but essentially what it comes down to is the technique behind what you do matters more than what you do. And I think that's what this whole episode is pointing out. This ritual, everything has to be done a specific way for things to happen. And to the point, like, this place is run on ritual. Sophia agrees with that. And them going down into the tunnels the wrong way is that ritual for her, for things to go right for her. But for Tabitha and Jade, for things to go right for them, I think it's for them two to go down in the tunnels. And that's what threw a wrench in Sophia. Very, very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. I just don't know where the bottle tree ties into that. I don't get that. But anyway, after this, it's now dusk and Boyd's ringing the bell, telling everyone to go inside. And he's walking, and as he is, he's passing Sophia, and he's like, time to go inside. And she explains that she thought she'd help out with the rope ladder in the diner, and it seems really important, and Boyd really appreciates that. And she says that she's just doing her part. And then afterwards, everyone's helping inside, with the ladder, including Baca, Elgin, Acosta, all of those people. Knowledge still comes out of Acosta, by the way. I can't believe I just fucking said that. That's so stupid. Anyway, Sophia's like playing with the jukebox, and Baca explains to Sophia, she's like, oh, honey, that thing doesn't work. Like, it's completely useless. And then Sophia is still pressing buttons, and a song comes on. And it's like, at this point, dude, how do you not see how sus Sophia is? Just fucking open your eyes. Open your eyes and look, Dexter. Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Anyway, so Baca's like, how did you just do that? And then Sophia's like, do what? And the music starts playing. I don't know the name of the song that starts playing. And they're all... and then she starts working on the ladder, but in the distance, you could hear the shrieks of all of the monsters coming, and Patty freaks out. She's like, oh my God, I hate those things. Patty's starting to get a little annoying. I'm just being honest with you. But the point is, it distracts everyone from what Sophia is doing. And what Sophia is doing is she is like cutting the rope slightly. She's cutting the ladder. So my guess is, whatever they do, when they go to drop the ladder, whoever's down there, they're going to get fucked. They're going to get absolutely fucked. by this because Sophia is going to destroy it. But anyway, as she's doing this, as she's cutting the rope, there's a montage with the music going on. And in the background of the montage, we cut to Fatima in her bed, and she's clearly in a lot of pain, freaking out. She gets up, she's losing her hair. And guys, I really think we're seeing Fatima turn into one of them. I don't understand how this works. I have no idea where this is going to go. I don't know. But I don't know what else this is setting up. I mean, she gave birth to one of them. She now senses one of them. She's losing her hair. She has the varicose veins all over the place. Like, I don't know what else this means. Her heart rate's dropped, all of that stuff. I think we're going to be seeing her transform into one of these things, which is tragic for Ellis, tragic for Fatima, because Fatima's a great character. I just don't know what else this could possibly be setting up with her character. And honestly, there's part of me that's like, if that's the case, if that's what they do, I think that'll be a little disappointing because we've kind of, it's obvious that that's where that's going, in my opinion. But if not, like, if that's where it's going, I wish they didn't make it so obvious. But if it isn't where it's going, then I don't know what the fuck else this could be. If this is something else, or if this is her going to die, then why would they say she should be dead already? I don't get it. To me, I think there's only one solution. I think she's turning into one of those things. And that's scary and interesting. And it is so hard. I got to tell you, sometimes it's hard with these screeners because I don't know when I'm getting the next episodes. I have no idea. Like, at least when you watch this episode, you know for a fact episode 10 is coming. I don't know if I'm going to get episode 10. I have no idea. So to me, it's like, am I going to have to wait months to see the next episode? I don't know. That's hard because this episode was a big one with a big cliffhanger at the end of it. Anyway, after this, we cut to Kenny and he's looking at Victor in his cell, and then he tells Boyd that he's just sitting there. He's just standing there in Patrick's star voice. And Boyd says, and he's angry and scared. And Boyd continues saying that that's something they need to talk. There's something that they need to talk about. And basically what it amounts to is Boyd is asking Kenny to stand down because they need him. It's basically like the government in the event of the continuity of government in the event of a catastrophe. Kenny doesn't want to stand down, but Boyd's like, I'm asking you, you need to stand down. He wants Kenny to do his part, and if anyone's going to risk their lives, it has to be Boyd and them. So Kenny eventually agrees, and then they have one last drink from Father Cautry's stash because it's the end of the bottle, and they do a cheers to better days. And this is scaring me because, like, is this the last time these two are going to see each other? You can't kill Boyd in the next episode. Can't do that. Boyd's the main guy. Or can you? I don't know. If this is going off of a principle I think it should be, no one should be safe. But anyway, whatever. After this, everyone is outside Colony House while Jade is packing things up, and Ethan walks out. But outside is also Julie, Donna, Clara, that sussy fuck in the distance. And Tabitha's saying her goodbyes to everyone, and her and Jade are about to go into the tunnels. And Ethan's asking what happens if she doesn't come back, but Tabitha's assuring that she will, explaining that Jade said the bones will protect them when they're in there, and she explains that once they are back, they'll be so much closer to going home. But still, how? Like, how will you be close to going home if you dig up the bones? How does that end the under the dome sort of thing that this town is? How do you get out of this town? I don't think the bones will do any of that. It's not like it's going to lift the dome up. Like, I don't know. Anyway, and plus we have a whole other season. There's no way that's going to happen in the next episode. Anyway, unless we get a whole season like of almost like Better Call Saul's epilogue. Like, you know what I mean? Whatever. Anyway, Ethan asks how the bones are going to protect them, and Jade just says, that's just how they work. What the fuck does that mean? I'm sorry. This is a complaint of mine. This is where the writing is a little weird to me. That's not an explanation. And to this, as a viewer, there is no explanation. I don't understand this in the slightest. And Tabitha says to this, see, we're going to be okay. Like, see, look what Jade said. We're going to be okay. Yeah, but Jade didn't say anything. Like, bitch, no, you ain't. You're not going to be okay. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? Who are you talking to? You know what I mean? Truman Show, you get the reference? Anyway, I don't understand. That is a criticism of mine. I don't get that. But then it cuts to Clara, who looks extremely concerned. You sussy fuck. Dana Marie, I can't believe you got this shit right. Anyway, after this, Ethan says goodbye to Tabitha, and Tabitha explains, telling him to be strong. She then says bye to Julie, saying she'll see them in a few hours. And Jade and Tabitha walk off, and Jade says, you're lucky, not a single person tried to talk me out of this, which is true, and it was funny. But then after this, we cut to what sets up the, I guess episode 10. The group who was up there to set up the bottle tree, they're up there with a pickup truck and the ropes and the radio, and it's Boyd, it's Acosta, Ellis, Kristi, Sara, Randall, and a few others. I think some random background characters, which is funny. It's like, how do they get roped into this? I don't know. Anyway, Botka and Patty come over with the rope ladder too, and then it cuts to Jade and Tabitha, who are testing out the radios, and as they test it out, Sara notices that they're testing it out and that it works, and Tabitha and Jade's like, are you ready? Tabitha's like, not really. And then they just go inside. And then it cuts to, this is another big reveal. I forgot about this reveal. Geez, now that I'm getting to it. God, I'm 57 minutes into recording this. Oh my Lanta. Anyway, Elgin is in the storage room in the diner and he's going through belongings and he sees pictures and he starts flipping through them and he sees one and it's an old one and the background of the photo is clearly Sophia. Not the imposter, but the real Sophia. This is another big fucking reveal, guys. Like, this episode had major reveals. Like, now it is revealed. Well, we'll get to it actually. Clara walks into the diner and Sophia, who's still in there, asks what she's doing there. And Clara says that she thought she'd want to inform them that things changed a little and that Jade and Tabitha are the ones going down into the tunnels. And Sophia looks extremely concerned by this, slams down the thing she's holding and says, "You should have told me sooner." Clara apologizes, saying that she just found out and then says, "I still get to go home, right?" Dumbass time to bring that up. And Elgin walks in to the front of the diner and he asks Sophia to check the photo, saying the girl in the background looks just like you. And Sophia's like, "That's because it is me." And Elgin looks concerned and says, "I don't understand. How is that possible?" And Sophia looks at Clara and says, "Clara, would you lock the doors, please?" And she turns to Elgin and says, "I can only take the form of people who died here." And Elgin says, "What the hell's going on?" And she says, "I really wish you hadn't seen that photo," and grabs Elgin by the arm. This is a fucking big ass reveal because now we know that the man in yellow can only embody the dead people who are here. So this opens the door up to a lot of stuff for season 5. This opens the door up to potentially him coming back in the form of someone who died. Or this opens the door up to, was the original man in yellow that physical manifestation, or is it like a spider? Like, I know that may sound cheesy if you just heard that and you don't understand where I'm going with that, but there's been so many allusions to spiders in this show. What if the true form of this man in yellow isn't the man in yellow and it's actually something like a spider? Like, what if Douglas Hughes' character is someone who died here previously? Because now we know Sophia was here in a past cycle. That's what's really interesting, and it's very interesting to me that this brings us full back to when Tabitha and Victor were in the tunnels, I think 2 seasons ago, and there was the box, the suitcase. In it was probably Sophia's clothes for eventually when this was going to happen. So they must pick these people or something like that. This is fascinating, crazy information to me. And the other big reveal in this moment is that it is revealed that Tabitha and Jade are 100% doing the right thing, because why would it deter Sophia so much and get pissed? Because Sophia previously had a belief that this place is built on ritual and that it's not going to go well for them because because Kenny, Jade, and a few other people are going there, not Jade and Tabitha. That is really, really interesting. So now it reveals to me 1,000,000% that this is going to be, we are watching the end of this cycle. This is how I feel 100%. This is just a theory. Again, for the millionth time, I haven't seen episode 10 at this point of making this, but this to me 100% reveals that we are seeing the end of this cycle and that Jade and Tabitha are on the right path and they're doing it right for the first time. Them getting the bones together, I think, further solidifies this. And to that point, we cut to Jade and Tabitha and they get into the cavern where the bones are buried. They put a tarp on the entrance and then they like tape it together and then they put a talisman over it. So that's like that door that we were talking about. And then once it's secured, they signal the radio. And then as they do, as they do, Sarah's like, they're in the chamber. And then Boyd instructs everyone to get in position. So they like start to move the truck, which is interesting. But then we cut back to Tabitha and Jaden. They're digging the bones. And as they do so, the monsters in another part of the tunnel begin waking up. And they walk towards the cavern where the bones are buried, where Jade and Tabitha are. And eventually, while digging, they get to the bones, which are blocked by the huge rock that Jade saw in his trip. And they begin to pry it open as the monsters get closer. And they eventually pull the rock far enough away, revealing the bones, which are in fact there in this thing. And then the monsters get to the door and say, you know, you really shouldn't be doing that. And Tabitha goes, oh shit. And the episode ends. Man, I fucking love this episode. 7 and 9 are my two favorite episodes of this season. Now I'm up to where I've seen. I've only seen up to 9. And these are my two favorites. 9 and 7 are the best episodes of this season so far. I don't know which I think is better, but I love this one. This one is interesting because I think it's slower than 7, but had massive moments in it. 7 also had massive moments, but the anticipation was really high, if that makes any sense. So this is a little bit slower. I don't find that a bad thing in the slightest bit, but I'd say these are on pretty equal wavelengths or playing fields, just done and executed in very different ways. I fucking loved this episode. I thought this was an outstanding banger episode. The Clara reveal in and of itself. And again, I have to say this at the end of this. Dana Marie, the Witch's Brew. If you guys don't follow her, if you guys don't subscribe to her, I'm going to put her channel in the description of this video right under the like and subscribe button. But I feel horrible because in our creator roundtable, before I got the chance to film this video, because I wasn't on as much of a timeline with filming this video as I was with the others, because I still haven't gotten episode 10. It's been a while. So I was like, whatever. But I feel a little horrible because I had seen 9 and in there I was like, you got something right to Dana Marie. And I feel horrible because once she sees this, she's going to be like, oh, Jerry, that motherfucker. I feel horrible. I'm so sorry. But this was the hardest reveal to keep in. This, Donna, what happens with Fatima sensing. Now that I could tell you where I'm at, because I'm in very, I could just explain this a little bit further, caught up to where I am. The Fatima reveal was so hard to keep in that she senses Smiley, Kenny's almost death, that whole sequence, the whole just kidding thing. That was all hard, all of this, but man, this was the hardest, because this is a big one. This is a fun one. And also, guys, again, we are really setting up the big endgame territory here. Yeah, maybe we didn't get answers to some small things. Like, so far we haven't got answers to, like, Boyd's ring. So far we haven't seen Julie story walking again. We haven't gotten those things. And I actually do find that very disappointing, sure. But those reveals, I would say Julie story walking is a big reveal. It's a big thing that should happen more because we know she sees Jim eventually. But those things are relatively minuscule. I want to see where this grand overarching story takes us, and the show is taking us there now. That's important to me, and they're doing it. So I'm very happy about it. That's the kind of show that this show is. Yes, there are things still out there that I am disappointed in. Maybe we'll see them in the finale. I have no idea, but either way, I'm just glad we are now really set up. And this show, I now feel like I know what this show is. Not fully, but enough to be a little dangerous. You know what I mean? And I love that because they're giving us enough and not telling us enough so that we could go back and want more. I love that direction. I'm loving this season. I really do. And 7 and 9 were the two best of them. But I'd love to hear from you. Do you have the same enthusiasm for me? It seems like from what I've seen, not a lot of you do. So a lot of you guys are saying I'm becoming like the movie idol of the show, and nothing against the movie idol. But they're saying I'm becoming like the movie idol of From. I'm just telling you as a fan, not because I got sent these screeners. Yes, obviously you guys know there is some inherent bias there to stay on good graces. That is just a thing that will always be there if I'm getting screeners and blah, blah, blah. But honestly, I don't give a fuck if I got the screeners. I'm a big fan of this show, and I love what they're doing. I am not paid a cent to make these videos, other than Google AdSense from YouTube. I am not paid a cent from MGM to talk high praises. I could shit on this show if I wanted to, and believe me, there's a lot that I want to talk about in the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's a lot that I want to talk about in those. A lot of bad things. There's a lot of things I did not like so far about everything. I haven't seen 10, but there's a lot of things that I didn't like about this season so far. I'm just saying this to say I am not paid to share my feelings. Yes, there is an agreement because I'm getting the screeners to make content for it. There's that just mutual understanding. But that doesn't mean I'm paid to say anything positive about it or anything of the sort. As a fan, this is my favorite season, hands down. And if you don't agree with me here, so be it. You know what? Fuck it. If you're going to call me the movie idol of this show or whatever, which again, no shade to Forrest at all. I really love Forrest. I love the movie idol. But I've seen people making that analogy just because he's very enthusiastic about The Walking Dead, which isn't a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But, and I hate to say that in a way that like singles out a creator, I genuinely don't mean that in a bad way. But I've just been seeing those comments, so I have to address them. I'm putting it on the table. If you don't agree with me, if you don't feel that way, fuck it. I don't care. I don't care. I loved this season. I really did. I'm enthusiastic because I enjoyed it, not because I'm paid or anything. Because again, I'm not. Yes, Google AdSense has been treating me well this season, but that doesn't mean that means it incentivizes me to talk good about it. You know what also did the same thing for me? Fear the Walking Dead, when I shit on it. So it doesn't matter positive or negative. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Point is, I'm not paid to say this. I loved this season so far of everything I've seen. Yes, it has its negatives. Some of them are bad negatives. But I love it. This is my favorite season of the show. This episode solidified it. Episode 7 also at the time solidified it. And I can't fucking wait to see how they wrap this season up. I can't wait. But I can wait because I don't want this season to be over. I've been having so much fun with these videos. And I hope you've enjoyed them so far. When you're watching this, I will be in Italy. So I will be at the time. What day is this episode dropping? Today is June 21st. So the day this comes out, I will actually have landed back from Rome. My whole trip, just a quick little thing. I got to spiel here for a second. I'm going from Rome to Siena for a wedding. Then I'm going to Capri. I still haven't figured that one out, and I'm supposed to be Italian. And then I'm going to Positano. It's going to be my fiance and 2 of my best friends. We're doing it all together. The 4 of us are having a ball. So that's where I'll be when this airs. So I don't know. I had to batch this earlier, so I'm interested to see if any news comes out or anything of the sort. But either way, I'll be checking for your comments, and we'll be back to regularly scheduled programming, and we'll be back for episode 10 very soon. I can't wait for it, but I can wait for it. So anyway, with all of that out of the way, thank you again so much for watching this video, and until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.